Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Where's my mouse?
Excited. I need to approve my. Oh, I need
I
that.
get the note from Lindsay, I copied.
I need that.
No, it's
PowerPoint.
LinkedIn message.
We're gonna record it.
I put you in touch with.
Thank you. I got home. I mean, I need it because I do
There was a good
teaching,
chance,
which
yeah.
is the printer.
Oh, nice. We do, we've done a few presentations about this help.
Yeah, so I do once a month. We pull some of their cohorts together
Mhm.
and I do a 2-hour coaching thing with them.
Nice. All right, well, we can go.
I got one coming up next Monday. That's why I said I need that.
Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah, so I can introduce myself. As I said, my name is Tyler. I sit on our LinkedIn marketing team. So I do all of their contracts. So if they're booking a contract with Google to advertise like the little ads that you see in your feed, that all goes through our team and I'll sign off on their contracts and help strategize their year-over-year growth. So I'm a lead strategist on that team and I've been here for 2.5 years now. And then Aaron will be joining us any minute, is on the same team as well. He's a senior strategist with us and just aligned to a different set of clients. I'm aligned to our global strategic accounts and Aaron's on our enterprise team. So, but we will be walking you through how to optimize your LinkedIn profile and your presence on the network, how to best utilize it, and there's a lot of good tips and tricks in there as well too for you all. But I am not super familiar with this group because I got thrown in at the last minute. So did you want to share a little bit about your group or the cohort?
Betsy, would you like to?
Yeah, I can do some of that. And you
Yeah,
can maybe cover
yeah.
the MCP side. So
Sure.
I work for Microsoft and Microsoft gives out an award to community members that are teaching others about technology. And the actual physical award, like the Oscars for developers and IT pros. And one of the benefits, for example, they get is like Azure credits, but they also get LinkedIn Premium as a benefit. A lot of them post content like, hey, here's how you use Azure or AI or whatever on LinkedIn. You know, they do a lot of postings there. So it's a global community of 3,500 people. They don't work for Microsoft or LinkedIn or GitHub. They're all external community members.
And then for the last 24 years, I gave Hermine my 20 Microsoft certified trainer jacket. Hermine and I met through the MCT community probably
Yes.
first.
Mhm. Now be
And-
20 this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
And unlike the MVP award, the MCT is a training certification and program that you can work at Microsoft, you can be external to Microsoft, you can stay, you can. So
Yeah.
I was there for about half of that 24 years.
Oh,
And Microsoft just internally pays for when there was paid options, they just used codes or internal cost centers to keep me active as an MCT. And then all the technical trainers at Microsoft now have also come into the Microsoft Certified Trainer Program, but they're Microsoft employees. As an MCT not working for Microsoft now, I don't have to evangelize Microsoft. So I could be a Google trainer. I could do Zoom. You know, I have no, I guess, allegiance necessarily to talk about only one technology. Microsoft hired a number of trainers so that instead of just saying, please teach Azure or please focus on our solutions, if you're a Microsoft employee, there's a little more of a give get there with, you know, talk about or the guidelines, that type of thing. So the roles I had internal to Microsoft weren't training specific, but like I said, there are roles at Microsoft now that are training specific. And we met in Chicago 2015.
Yeah. But I had attended some of the MCT events prior to that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
You're almost twins, finally. Yeah, sure.
And this is Aaron, my coworker on the team.
Aaron.
Nice to meet you all.
Hello.
Hi.
Bill, you should also maybe say a couple words from the alumni slash.
So I'm none of these things. One of these things is not like the other. That's me.
MCT.
Yeah.
I was an MCT. I'm an MCT alum, but I'm the only LinkedIn author here.
Yes, I heard.
So I figured that counts for something.
Yeah, it should.
But yeah, I'm basically a hanger on. You know, Ben's like, hey, let's go to Detroit. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, disclaimer, we're both from the Chicago suburbs and then
yeah.
Michigan.
Oh,
Yeah, and I'm a Detroiter. So I just want to elaborate a little bit more about me.
Mhm.
You know, I'm an MCT, been an MCT since 2004, been certified since 96. So I'm one of the old schoolers in Microsoft ecosystem. But I also run a local IT user group, the Detroit IT user group. We started off meeting at Focus Hope. I used to work for Focus Hope. I retired about 3 years ago. The user group's still going strong. I'm also a Microsoft partner, so we do consulting, training, and in the small and medium business environment. So I wanted to make sure that you understood the user group part of it. And then I volunteer with Focus Hope now to do monthly LinkedIn webinars because of their relationship with LinkedIn. We bring classes together and I do a 2-hour webinar about once a month and show the students how to get in. You know, we talk about what LinkedIn is, how to get into it. We go over setting up their profile and getting them, encourage them to utilize it, not just set it up so that they have a better understanding. And then through the user group, which is also kind of generic because we're not a Microsoft sponsored user group. We are a general IT user group on purpose. So we talk about primarily Microsoft things because they're the most popular right now, but we also do open source. Cisco, our board is made up of IT professionals who are either business owners or work in the field. So we meet on Saturday mornings, so not to interfere with billable hours for folks and to make it more accessible. We've been meeting online since, what was before, what was the online portal Microsoft started us off years ago?
Or Skype before that.
Before Skype, whatever was.
Link, yeah.
Yeah, Link. Yeah, so we've been meeting online and then we tried to do something on site. I'm bringing that up because this would be a great place to bring people to tour. So just to bring that up.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's jump into the presentation. Hopefully there's some goodies. Aaron and I didn't have any time to prep for this because we were both thrown in, so we'll just.
It's all good.
We've given it enough time. But essentially what we'll cover is, you know, the basics. What is LinkedIn? The difference between your LinkedIn profile and a resume, and then dive more into building up that profile itself on the platform, the different sections, the different fields to utilize when you're building that out. And then growing from there to cover what that network looks like, how to build the network, how to expand it strategically based off of your goals. And then a little bit on like the job side of the platform.
My favorite part.
Yeah, there's some good nuggets in there. I'm sure you're familiar with a lot of this, but feel free to ask questions along the way. Throw some hard ones at Aaron and I, keep us on our toes. Aaron, do you want to cover the first section?
Sure. So this is just a slide. Like social media can be used in a variety of ways. So there are different sites that do different things. So this is just an example of what it would look like if you were to talk about traveling. So on Facebook, you'd say like, I like traveling. There's literally like the like feature that started
Yeah.
there. And then, yeah, you can post the pictures. Snapchat, watch me travel quickly, but watch me travel. And then Instagram, of course, cool photo of my travels. We can go on and on through the list. But that's how you would talk about traveling with other social media websites. For LinkedIn, you're adopting a professional mindset because it is a professional social network platform. So you would post things like, I hope to operate a travel agency one day, or that might be your goal and why you're on LinkedIn and why you're using it. Talking about your experience, maybe leading tours or working at a travel agency or coordination, and then recommendations from colleagues in the travel industry. So those are different. The biggest difference between LinkedIn and then other sites. And then, of course, the platform. There are more than 1 billion professionals on LinkedIn globally. So chances are, if you're, looking for someone to do a job, if you're looking for a job, or if you're looking to create something, you can find the people on LinkedIn. They say, what, fish where the fish are biting? Well, the fish are definitely biting on LinkedIn. That's where they are. 7 people are hired on LinkedIn every minute, with 67 million employers on LinkedIn, which are incredible stats, which again, if you're looking for a company or a company is looking for talent, chances are LinkedIn's going to be the place that they go. And then from the connecting piece, 13,000 connections made every minute on LinkedIn, which is incredible. Then again, more stats. 9 out of 10 employers use LinkedIn during the hiring process. So even if they aren't posting jobs on LinkedIn, there's still a fair chance that they're looking you up on LinkedIn, checking out your profile and trying to see who you are, which we'll talk a little bit about, like your profile and how you can tell your story professionally. But it's very, very important that you're showcasing your true self in your best light on LinkedIn. Yeah, so important terms you'll probably hear a lot today. Workforce, which refers to, I guess, people working in a specific region or a specific industry. LinkedIn's vision, again, is to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. Really feel like we're on our way there. It's a lofty goal, but we're taking steps every day to get there. Connections, so these would be like your friends on Facebook or followers on another site. But we call them connections because there's a little bit more give and take on LinkedIn professionally with the people that you're connected to. Your network is the group of connections. So connected community of people. The whole purpose of social networking is to network. And that's the way that you get to where you need to go. And then referrals. You'll hear referrals a lot because that's a common thing used on LinkedIn to really get you to where you need to be. And we'll have some key stats on that and why referrals are important. Yeah, Tyler, turn it over to you.
All right, so diving into what it looks like when you're building your profile. So of course, you would go to linkedin.com to set that up. And it just asks you for a couple of key things right off the bat. So your location, industry, and a reason for joining LinkedIn, what that goal is. And then from there, you really can build it out at your own pace. But those are just the few things that we ask when setting up that profile. So slide. There is the LinkedIn Premium, which I know you've talked about with like the MVP. That's one of the benefits that they get. There are different levels of the premium, but the main one, that career searching Premium, really does open up a lot of opportunity for people based off of just the free site. And one of the favorite things for myself is the LinkedIn Learning. So there's over 20,000 courses on LinkedIn Learning, and it truly is something for everyone. My mom recently, well, 3 years ago, became a realtor on the side. And it was something like late in life that she picked up. And it's really hard to compete in like a growing social world, especially in real estate. So she found some courses on LinkedIn Learning about how to utilize social networking for your real estate business. So
Perfect.
truly something for everyone. And I recently just got certified through Microsoft as a business analyst on LinkedIn Learning. So the certifications are being built in there as well, and it just opens up a lot of further opportunity for your career development. But with the growing age of AI and Microsoft being a leader in that area, we're incorporating a lot of that into our platform as well too. So we have interview coaching, career coaching that's all built through where it'll actually like prompt you with like tricky, hard interview questions, and you can write or speak your response, and it will give you suggestions, or it will take information from your platform and say how you could answer that question with your experience looped in. But then, of course, you get some extra in-mail credits, so people you are not connected with, sending them messages, and also insights into the companies and jobs that you're looking to apply for. But back to where I thought we were going, your LinkedIn profile. The difference between your profile and your resume, I always explain it as your LinkedIn profile is the whole picture of yourself. So it truly can be everything from when you started in high school to where you're at in your join McKenna for this. Your big picture, like everything from volunteer experience, your total career, the skills that you've associated along the way with the different roles, and even an about me section. Whereas now your resume can really be tailored and targeted towards the job that you're applying for. So if you have a lot of experience in hospitality, but you're trying to make a pivot into product management, your LinkedIn profile can show that whole story, but then your resume can focus more on the product management buzzwords and things that'll be more attracted to the recruiter for that role. But of course, your LinkedIn profile has a lot of sections like recommendations and endorsements that you can build in there too. So essentially it's like free marketing and advertising of yourself right on that profile when someone goes to view it. The photo, this is one of my pet peeves when I get a connection request and the person does not have a photo on it. It just feels fake and inauthentic.
Yeah.
But on top of that, having the photo just goes a long way for when you're applying for a job or you're looking to build out that network, because you'll actually receive 21 times more views on your profile if it's not just an uninviting blank gray blob. And you'll actually receive 9 times more connection requests because people feel more invited to reach out to you, or it just feels more authentic.
Yeah.
And of course, like some helpful tips to taking that great photo, neutral background, have a smile, look friendly, like someone wants to connect with you. But definitely add that if you don't have it. Editing your profile. So once you have it built, these are some of the sections that you can start to build out. There are a lot of different sections. None of them are required. I always tell people that with LinkedIn, you get the amount that you put into it. So the more that you do build out, the more algorithms have to suggest jobs for you or to suggest connections based off of the information that you provide to the system. So the more you start to build out, the more value you'll really receive from the platform. But you can build out all of these from your past work experience, your volunteer experience, skills that you've gained along the way, and especially one of the biggest things, your education and certifications. And you can also, a lot of these things you can tailor to. So with education, maybe you have some people who are re-entering the workforce later in life that they don't want to show when they graduated high school or what year they got their bachelor's degree out of like fear of some like age discrimination. So you can hide those years or you can make it shown. So a lot of it you can play around with and customize to how you want your profile to represent you.
Tyler or Aaron,
Yes.
from a location perspective?
Yeah.
What's either your experience, thoughts, stories of, should Detroit versus East Lansing or, a suburb or a greater Detroit area? Any insight into?
Yeah, it's really nice because you can, you don't have to list location if you don't want to,
Right.
or just make it visible, but you can also just put like Michigan Or you could put, so I live in Grosse Pointe, but I have Detroit metropolitan area because
Yeah.
really, if I'm looking to connect with someone in person or like a job opportunity, I'm open to all of those areas. But even in the growing world of remote work on the rise, I think that's slowly drifting away too,
Yeah.
and people care less about the location and maybe more for like connecting with someone for a local cohort of business professionals.
Yeah, I'd agree. I use Detroit metropolitan area too. I live in Redford, so it's the Detroit suburbs. But I've always looked at it the same way Tyler did, like just from an opportunity standpoint. Like if I'm open to anything over this around the city and in the surrounding areas, I do that. But I do think it's lessening in importance, like with remote work. And then even if you set your location as, let's say you set it as East Lansing, you can still go if you're open to opportunities and say like, hey, I'm open to opportunities in these other places.
Yeah.
So that way you don't limit yourself. So, yeah.
Awesome question. The headline. This is one of my favorite things to look at. It just is that quick little one sentence blurb about yourself that's visible before clicking into your profile. So if I'm searching for marketers in the Detroit area, the search bar or the search results will show each of those people and it will have like their name and then that little headline for themselves. So it's a quick little snapshot into who you are. And really like that click or that drag, like the attention grabber to get someone to click into your profile. So I always tell people to have fun with it. You'll see mine at the end, but I have like my title there, deal strategist, and then I'm involved in our employee resource group for LGBTQ employees across the globe. So I have like audit and program manager, and then go to market strategy, which is the field that I'm passionate about. So just like a quick little snapshot, if anyone has something that's familiar to them or they're searching for, that they can click into my profile. People will put like dog dad or
Yeah.
fantasy football winner, just like some fun things too to make it a little more personal, but you definitely don't want it to be too long where it either gets cut off on the search bar or someone doesn't want to read it. And just like something a little more fun than business analyst and then done. So play around with it, have fun. But then really where you can build it out once you're in your profile is your summary section. So really you can customize this how you want. I recently revised mine and had our AI feature build my about me section because it was clunky, and it'll take your experience and your skills and your education background and customize that just so it's a little more fun and flows a little better. But yeah, essentially we have like a guideline of how you can build it. So a little bit background about who you are, maybe what you're passionate about, and then go into like your experience. So summarize what your experience has looked like, what sectors you've worked in, and then round it out with a little bit about what your future goals are. So if a recruiter is looking at your page and they see, oh, okay, they want to break into product marketing, then they might connect with you if they have something in common there. So a little bit about where you want to go with the future. And with that, we will pass it over to, well, do you want me to do this section? Then you can do your favorite at the end?
Yes.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
So building your professional network, I think this is really where people start to see that value once they have those connections built and how you can use it to your advantage. 50% of hires on average result from having a personal connection. So we were talking about earlier, one of the hardest barriers to getting this group put together was just knowing the right person to connect with to set it up. Same thing when you're applying for a job. A lot of times companies like Microsoft and LinkedIn have a referral system. So Just having someone in the know that you're connected with that could refer you to a job that you're interested in might just be that leverage to get you at least in front of the recruiter. Because a lot of the time, that's the hardest part, getting past that automated recruiting screening. So having that connection can go a long way, and you can use those personal connections when you're building your network. So on LinkedIn, you'll see the degree of network that someone is. So if you search for someone, you'll usually see first degree, second degree, third degree, or third degree plus. And that's defined, first degree being the people you are immediately connected with. So someone you share a connection to. That will be your first degree network. And then from there, your network starts to spider web out to second degree. That being, if I'm connected with Aaron and Aaron's connected to Betsy, but I'm not, Betsy would be my second degree because we have someone linking us together. And we'll dive into a little bit about how that's helpful to know in a second. But then your third degree from there would be someone connected to your second degree. And then third degree plus would just be someone you don't have a connection to at all. There's no link. And with that, second degree connections are really helpful to know because when you click into that second degree person's profile, like if I were to go to Betsy's profile, it would show me who that mutual connection is. So then I would know who my link to Betsy is. If I want to get in touch with her, I might reach out to Aaron first and be like, hey, I see you're connected to her. I would love to talk to her about this opportunity at Microsoft. Would you be willing to put me in touch? And then that's kind of that foot in the door opportunity to get a hold of who you're looking for. But say Aaron responds back with like, nah, you're on your own. LinkedIn can come in handy there. And I could send a connection request to that second degree person and say, hey, I found your profile through this mutual connection. I work with Aaron. I see that you know him. I'm currently looking to explore an opportunity at Microsoft for a intern coordinator role. Would you be willing to set up some time to talk or just connect with me? And then you can add that little note that just makes it a little more personal. And then that person's probably much more likely to connect with you when you just give that little background on why you're sending that request.
This is exactly how I found McKenna.
Yeah, exactly.
I think those notes are so important because I use that on like, this is, hey, it was great to meet you here.
Yeah.
Like, because you can't put notes on people, but I want to remember like
Yep.
where I met them.
And then once you do connect, that note will stay in like your mutual messages with each other. So then you can always go back and view it too. And you can remind yourself when you met them.
That's how I met.
Yeah. All right. And then how do you find connections or people to connect with? Obviously, the best place to start is with your friends and family. Really start to build that network. A lot of times, one of the trust and safety features that we have built into our platform is to establish real people versus bots. So sometimes you can't do anything without having 10 people connected. Like one of the things is to just send a message to a recruiter. Some of those features are grayed out until we know that you actually have some connections. And it's a really small number, either 5 or 10. But just starting with a baseline of those friends and family people that you know are, I mean, hopefully they're going to connect with you.
Are you saying that
That's good though.
you send the message to the recruiter or LinkedIn sends the message to the recruiter? So if someone is showing up and you don't want to connect with them necessarily,
Mhm.
okay, how do you prevent, I know you cannot respond,
Mhm.
okay, and it would be nice if you could build something in where you can anonymously say, not interested. Thank you, but not interested. But you just said it's grayed out until you know that there's a connection. Who is the one that?
It's grayed out until So if my son got on LinkedIn, he had no connections.
Mm.
You're saying it's grayed out for him to connect to recruiters until
No,
he
you
has-
can still connect with people to build
Okay.
that connection base. But some of the features, like if you go to apply for a job, there's a spot that says, if you have premium, that says message the recruiter. So you would be doing
Oh.
that. But if you
Okay.
don't have any connections, the system just doesn't know that you're not a bot. So
Yeah.
it will
Okay.
gray out some of those features to avoid spam.
Got it.
But it would, but connections are always open.
Okay.
And so like you just had mentioned, of course you can decline a connection request, but there isn't really a way to turn off people allowing to connect with you, but you can hide your profile. So if you ever get to a point where you're just like, I don't want to delete my LinkedIn, but I don't want to be active on there for any reason. I'm not in the right mindset for people to connect with me, or whatever the reason may be, you can make it private. But it also turns off then the opportunity for a recruiter to reach out to you, or if someone has a job opportunity or a volunteer experience, like it just really would turn you off from all of that. But yeah, and then you can always turn it back on.
And that's just the new connections. All your current connections would
Yeah, they
still
would
be
all
able to
stay.
communicate with.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then from there, how you really build out that network, you start connecting with people that you work with or have worked with in the past, or any like professional connections that you've had from there. And then new connections. So say you are looking to keep using Microsoft as an example, but parent company is easy to go to. So if you wanted to work at Microsoft and you currently work at Google, you can search for people depending on that current company. So you don't need to know who you're looking for, but like you said, you search for someone at LinkedIn and then you can show the location Detroit because that's the office you're trying to connect with. And then it will show you people who have Detroit LinkedIn listed. And it will, you can add different filters too if like you're looking for a HR business partner who works at LinkedIn. You can make that your search results. And then you can connect with people based off of that interest. So you could connect with an HR VP saying, hey, I had just graduated with my master's in HR. I'm really interested in just learning more about what HR looks like at Microsoft, not going in too heavy with like, hey, I want this job here. Can you help me out? But just like an informational interview, which we'll talk about later too, but connecting on that shared interest without knowing the person. And then that's when those messages really come in handy to kind of explain why you're connecting with them. But yeah, after you click connect, it gives you the option to send a note with it. You obviously don't have to. If it's a friend or family member, someone you know well or work with currently, you don't need to put that in. But it's a free feature to just add it. So I always say make it a little personal. If you go up to someone in person, you're of course going to have like some sort of little introduction there if it's someone you haven't met. So use that feature when you're sending it, and they're more likely to accept your request. And then expanding your network strategically, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but really thinking about those goals and objectives that you have for wanting to utilize LinkedIn and expand your network. If it's a company you have interest in, or if it's a shared goal, like you both are in school to get your master's degree, connecting with those shared goals, because then those people who have similar backgrounds or shared interests with you, you're most likely going on the same path. And if Aaron were to get a job right after the master's degree and I haven't found something yet, then I have that connection, whether it's within his own company or a connection he's made along the way, we probably share the same type of network that we're looking to grow. So adding in that note, of course, like just who you are, how you came across their profile, and how you think they can help you is going to be really helpful.
Yeah, it definitely helped me. It's a personal story. When I interviewed for this role, I had a recruiter reach out to me on LinkedIn. I was lucky because I had sent like 13 applications. They never called me. Finally, recruiter reaches out to me, get my opportunity. But I was applying for a role, the role that Tyler and I sit in now that I had no experience with. So I used the search feature. I searched deal desk strategist at LinkedIn, and then I looked for people who went to University of Michigan. I ended up finding a gentleman who had fit that exact profile, and was able to reach out to him. Like, hey, hit him with the Go Blue. For me, if someone says Go Blue, I automatically, my ears perk up and I'm ready to listen. If they say Go Green, I don't know. Just messing with you. So he responded, and I was able to get like a 15-minute conversation with him. Found out that he was from the town that I was living in at the time, so more commonality. And the person I was interviewing with was his hiring manager. Didn't think I had the greatest interview, but I ended up getting the job, moved on to the next round, and here I am. But would I be here if I hadn't have made those connections and like did that reach out? I don't know, but that's just a little, I guess, anecdotal data on like how this actually
Cool.
works. Yeah.
Cool.
Came together.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Tyler, did you have a hard stop at the top of the hour?
No, it's at the half.
Okay,
I'm good
thank
for
you.
another.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you have a question?
And maybe a little bit off topic, but talking about connections and I think I'm a little bit different than some of the folks, because as a LinkedIn author, I get requests from people all over the world who've watched my course. I don't know these people. They're not in my industry. I don't necessarily feel like me connecting with them is going to do anything to help me, or I don't know how I can help them beyond my course, but I don't want to say, no, I don't want to connect with you. So I have like 5,000 people that I'm connected with, and I don't know any of them. You know what I mean? I mean, is that a good thing, or is that something I should like, back off on connecting with everybody?
So what I would say for your situation, one of the things that we launched last year was creator mode. So you can enable yourself to be a LinkedIn creator. Or influencer mode, I think is what it's called. But that allows people to it would replace the connect button. Like when I go to your page, like I go to Bill's LinkedIn profile, where it would normally say connect, it will say follow.
Right. And I have that already, but I still get people like, hey, can you connect? Can we connect?
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I kind of feel bad. Oh, this guy's like, watch my course. I'm making money from, I feel bad turning them down. So I just connect with everybody.
Yeah.
The 30,000 is an upper limit for everyone, right? 30,000 connections. I've heard once you reach that,
I know there's no limit for followers, but connections, that I'm very far from that.
I am too.
haven't even-
That's why I'm not worried about it.
Yeah,
If
but
I
I'm
got
sure
close
they
to
have
it,
something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it just is how you want to manage that. But yeah, I don't know. Aaron, do you have any? I don't have that problem. No one wants to connect with me.
That's the only benefit, or not the only benefit, but the benefit of accepting the request would be that when you do post content, like that spreads across their network and people that they're connected to. So one of the things that I see all the time on LinkedIn is I'll see like my friend liked some other post for someone who I'm not connected to. And now I'm like, that's interesting. Let me check it out. So as an author and as a creator, it may be beneficial because if those people are interacting with your content, it just expands to their
And
network.
it's kind of what I always thought, but at some point it's just like,
People view that as like, hey, this is my stamp of approval for everybody I'm connected with, and I recommend them for any job. But
the other two things, they can't write you recommendations if they're not first connections. And you can't set up away messages. So I use my away messages to respond to anybody that responds to me as a first level connection. And that can be anything from, here's something I'm interested in, here's something we're doing, I can't respond to every request I get because I get too many individual requests, here's where to find me, or here's where to ask a generic question. So maybe a couple other things to think about.
It's a great idea.
All right, Aaron.
Okay, take it from here. So now that we've built our profile, expanded our network, here's how we're going to use it to connect to opportunity. Hey,
Sorry, I'm back.
you're good. So yeah, we'll just walk through.
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Oh, no worries. Continue
you're good.
on. I'll just keep making a disturbance.
Good, you're good. Just, basically go through messaging connections, which we talked a little bit about. And yeah, all those things. But yeah, LinkedIn members 4 times more likely to get hired when referred. Interesting fact, but also a useful one. Another fun nugget, your second and third degree connections are also going to be more useful for you when you're trying to get referrals. LinkedIn has a stat, it's like 67% of job referrals that turn into hires come from actually second and third degree connections,
Oh, wow.
not your first connection. So it's like if I'm reaching out to Tyler and Tyler's boss has a position that they're hiring for, reaching out and going to that second degree connection is how I'm gonna get there. Messaging connections. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit before. Reaching out to them, being intentional about why you're reaching out, maybe including something that like is a common interest or shared interest. I talked a little bit about my story and how it worked out, and that wasn't even a connection. That became a connection after LinkedIn, but reaching out to a gentleman who went to my school and had the job that I was looking at ended up leading me here. So I think Lauren's story is a little similar.
Lauren gets the job.
Yeah, Lauren gets the job. She reaches out,
Video,
it
bud.
works out. Yeah. And then Tyler talked about this a little earlier, asking for informational interviews. That was essentially what I did. I talked about, hey, I'm interviewing for this role. I'd love to just learn more about the company, its culture, and like what you do, what they're looking for. And it works out. And a lot of times if you're reaching out, talk about like, again, why you're reaching out to them. And then you can use that informational interview to do a variety of things, just to learn more about your career path. I'd like keep it to that level, like, hey, you work in a job that I want. Can I learn more about you? People are always willing to talk about themselves, especially if there's a shared interest. But if you come off extremely strong, like, hey, I want to work, you're hiring for this role, I want this job, can you talk to me? Sometimes that can be a little off-putting. So I take a more subtle approach, but I mean, sometimes that can work too. But yeah, requesting referrals. I like to use the give to get method. So if someone asks me for a referral, I'll be like, hey, okay, cool, I got you. But in the future, just remember that I did that. Like, and then a lot of times that back and forth, that give to get seems to work out. But when requesting referrals, when crafting that message, you definitely want to talk about why you're interested in the role, how you fit it, even if it's someone who you're connected to and you have a relationship with. It's the same thing as if you were asking for it in person, honestly. Like, hey, I see you, you work with this person. Can you refer me? I'm good at this. These are my skills. I think I'd be a good fit. And that's definitely helpful. I haven't requested a referral from like a general connection. Like you were saying, you have people you're just connected to. If you have a connection with someone who you just hit accept, but there's no real relationship there, it may not be as useful. But when you have some type of connection and some commonality, some familiarity, it helps. And then, yeah, another stat, 60% of the workforce has referred someone to work at their company. I've definitely referred people. Tyler and McKenna share a referral story, and that's how McKenna's here. And then requesting recommendations. This is also a very useful feature, especially when you're doing the give to get. Requesting recommendations, I don't know, I couldn't stand in college when I had to get letters of recommendation. Very, very tough to ask for. And then once you use that letter of recommendation, it's lost. But with LinkedIn, if someone recommends you for any work that they've done with you, whether it's like a volunteer experience or they worked with you, maybe you're leaving the company and you're like, hey, can you write a recommendation on my page? That lives on your LinkedIn page. And with 9 out of 10 hiring companies looking at your LinkedIn profile, they can go to see the work that you've done without needing like a letter of recommendation or a reference on that application where you got to enter their name and number. No, you can see these things live and they live on your page. And again, very easy to get when you're doing a give to get. Like, hey, write me a recommendation, I'll write you one, and it lives on that page.
And if you don't like the recommendation that they provided you for any reason, you don't have to publish it to your page. Or maybe
Or you
like
can
it just
enter
is.
revisions too, right?
Yeah, yep, you can. Or maybe it just is outdated and you don't want to show it. You can always hide and then re-show them later on too.
Yeah, that's good to know if someone
I
writes.
found
the,
so many.
yeah, right.
I found I have so many that I've forgotten ones that I've written or received.
Yeah.
So I created LinkedIn newsletter articles and I put them all alphabetically so I can keep them updated. And if I'm trying to remember, have I written Betsy? Because a lot of times I'll write another one and then realize that I can't send it because it's for the same relationship. And then I've wasted that time. So now I have an alphabetical list. So Hermine, I can look up. Oh,
Wow.
I've already written, she's already written me one. I have those 2 articles.
Nice.
That's incredible. I'm learning.
Yeah.
Glad I'm here today.
Seemed like a good way to do it. I have over 100, so your mind
I
gets.
think you need to put a hair flip in there. I have so many.
Yeah.
Nobody ever recommends me, so you better.
Well, unsolicited recommendations is my other tip because I hate asking for them. You know, hey Betsy, can you, it's just difficult for me to lead with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to say, here's what I found valuable from you.
Yeah.
Whether I come back or whether you choose to do the same is a lot easier for me than,
Yeah.
Hey, Kylie, we met.
We met that one
Can't you say
time.
something amazing about me?
Yeah. No, that's a
So
good
happy
point.
to write one.
I think I'd like to do that too. Like just maybe again, like maybe
It's
if I
made
write
people's
the
day, dude,
yeah, and a lot of
It's
times you're
made people's
prompted to
day.
do it in
Yeah.
return.
or month or
Yeah.
year.
Might be
I
a
mean,
really nice thing to
it's-
hear for
It's super
Yeah.
the
powerful.
day.
Gotcha. Well, we've done all of these things. Built our profile, built our network, reached out to our connections. But here's the greatest way you can get the most bang for your buck out of LinkedIn. You definitely want to invest time in your connections and invest time in the profile. Like and share things. Be active because again, the things that I like will show up on Tyler's feeds, and it would be people that like he isn't connected to. So it just expands your reach and allows for greater connections, greater networking. So definitely invest time. I'm not a huge commenter or content creator. So a lot of ways that I like interact with my community on LinkedIn is that I'll like and then I'll repost things. And that's how I like stay active and stay top of mind. It's for some people, they just like, I don't need to write an article. I just don't have it in me. Or I don't have the time right now. So an easy way to do it is just to like things, repost things, and then like it keeps you active in your community and continuing to like do outreach. Forgot the word I was looking for. On the internet. Yeah, definitely join groups and exchange insights. Again, I was talking about the University of Michigan, like my school, and how that connection has helped me. Joining groups with other alums definitely helps with like other opportunities, like the sport. I had a degree in sport management, completely different than what I'm doing now. But we have a group on LinkedIn where different sports professionals will post roles like that haven't been posted yet, and they'll say, hey, we're hiring for this, like looking for an SM grad. Those are different ways that you can use these groups in addition to just things, hobbies and interests. Coding, if you're doing anything like that, there are groups that will just like trade information, and it's just a way to stay connected, and something that people don't really necessarily use on LinkedIn as much as they probably could, because it's looked at as just like a job, or let me apply for this job, let me find this job. But you can actually use this as a think tank of sorts. And then again, giving testimonials and recommendations. It helps. Yeah. Any
One
favorite
of my
part?
challenges
Your favorite part?
Yes.
is in workforce development and education, because Focus Hope offers several different programs
Mhm.
that cross industries. So they have IT, they have logistics, they have construction. is to make it relevant because the students are usually a mixed group. I try to find an example of groups in their industry
Yes.
that they can get involved with.
Oh yeah, that's definitely helpful. Definitely helpful. It's done.
They think it's only for IT people or business professionals. They don't think about other industries that could be helpful with the LinkedIn account.
And Aaron, my request to you, we're gonna cruise through this last section. Aaron's gonna give it in the next 11 minutes.
Yep.
And then you'll do the tour with our facilities manager. Kristen's gonna come up and do that. And then I will come back and join you for lunch. And then we can definitely keep the conversation and questions going then.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, go for it, Aaron.
All right, I can cruise through this for sure. Lots of job seekers on LinkedIn every week. Again, fish where the fish are biting. The recruiters know this, and that keeps them there. So if you're looking for a role, chances are the best place for you to be is going to be on LinkedIn. One cool feature that you can use to separate yourself from the pack is using the open to work badge or just putting in your settings that you're open to work. So you've probably seen on LinkedIn the green banner that people have that says open to work. It's definitely a cool feature. And a lot of recruiters, when they're searching for potential candidates, they have a feature where they can filter out people who haven't checked that they're open to work, just so they can guarantee that they get a quicker response. Because if you're open to work and I'm reaching out to you, you're much more likely to respond to my email than someone who isn't open to work or hasn't been active. In addition to that, you can also use open to work without the green banner. So you can show that you're open to roles, and maybe you don't want your company to know that you're open to other roles. You can still check that without having that green banner, and recruiters can see, okay, hey, this person's active, they're looking, this is someone that should reach out to.
But be careful if you work with consultants, because they will still see you say open to work, even though your boss can't see it.
Oh, right, because they're technically not a part of the.
Yeah, so we knew one of our clients was leaving their job,
Yep. Yeah.
which is
That's a
a
good.
little bit concerning sometimes.
Yeah. So LinkedIn, they do their best to like keep recruiters from your company, but in that situation, if they're like adjacent, that might be a gap that we might have to look into and
I
see.
mean, you don't know how people are connected.
You're right.
So
That's fair. Searching for jobs. If the consultant hasn't outed you. When you search for jobs on LinkedIn, you can use a variety of tools to find that opportunity. You can use a keyword. Maybe you don't know the exact title, but you know what skills that you like, things that you like to do. You can search communication, and they'll bring up jobs that feature that. You can search maybe like a tech certificate, and then jobs that require that will come up. Or if you're like me at one point and you just want to relocate, you can search for a city and say, hey, I want to work in this city. Show me entry-level roles there, and it'll all pop up. So definitely a lot of ways you can search for opportunity. You don't have to be specific. Still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. But until then, it's working out here. But I'm always using the search option to see what's out there. Creating search alerts. So I get these every day. When you search for certain roles, LinkedIn will actually help you create a job alert. So maybe you're searching for product marketing manager roles, and you'll get every day, normally around like midnight, a list of jobs that fit what you've been looking for. And what I've noticed is that like I'm starting to get search alerts from stuff that like I didn't even set the search alert, but I'm just getting a list of jobs like, hey, you might be interested in that. So not only does in Premium does AI show you roles that like may fit your profile, the search alerts also bring the jobs to you that you may be interested in, so you don't have to do the hard work. If you're, being a parent, if you're being a caregiver, if you're just working and you don't have time, LinkedIn helps bring the opportunity to you. And then again, reviewing jobs you may be interested in. I talked a little bit about this, but based on your profile, you'll get job recommendations. And the cool thing with Premium is that when I use Premium, I can actually see like where I rank amongst the applicants. So it'll say like, hey, you're in the top 25%. This might be a good time to apply. And this job has been posted for X amount of time. You want to typically apply for roles within those first 3 days when they're posted. But seeing that like I'm in the top 25% or a job saying like, hey, you're in the top 75%. Like, okay, I probably won't stand a shot. Let me just save my time here. Those are definitely useful features. And then following companies. Another thing that's underrated that a lot of people don't know is that recruiters can also see if you're following that company. And if you're not following their company or interacting and engaging with their company on LinkedIn, they can filter you out of their search. So you can fit every criteria, but if you're not following their company and that's important to them, they'll filter you out. In addition to you just finding out cool things about their company that you can use in your interview. Like coming in and saying, hey, I saw on your live page that you guys are doing this, X, Y, and Z. That might be what separates you from another candidate. Easy apply, my favorite feature, because I don't like filling out applications, especially when I send you my resume and then I still have to go through and put in the drop downs, the same work experience that's on my resume. Easy apply makes it easy for you. You simply select easy apply, and the information, the time that you invested in that profile up front comes in handy here because it just pulls everything over. And when you apply, your recruiter gets to see your profile and all of that data. And you can apply for however many jobs. It typically takes like 30 seconds to a minute to get through easy apply.
Do we have time for a question?
Mhm.
So I know back in the day, when they talk about other job sites, they'd be like, you always want to apply on the company website, not like through Indeed, for example, because they're more likely to hire on their company website. Do you have any stats on the, like when you apply on LinkedIn, like do companies tend to like that? Or are there companies who are only posting on LinkedIn or?
So it'll depend. LinkedIn has a applicant tracker system built into the platform for recruiters to
Oh, cool.
use. So I think it's like 75% of Fortune 500 companies like solely use LinkedIn's recruiter system. So a lot of the times when that easy apply feature is available, it's when they're using our recruiter system. So it just uses your profile as the application itself, and then it pulls in the information into recruiter for them. So they really just use LinkedIn.
Interesting, yeah.
But then if that feature is not available, when you click that apply, it will actually take you to their like
Oh, cool,
Workday
Makes
system.
sense, yeah.
And so when the recruiter's posting that job, they'll tell them what their preferred application submission
Yeah.
process is. So you never have to worry if you're going through
To the right place, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But like with Indeed,
cool.
like you mentioned, like you can apply on Indeed.
Right,
but
and
they
it's
don't
fully
have that
separate,
same-
yeah.
yes. They then send it to that system,
Right.
their own system. So using LinkedIn, it really like gives you that peace of mind that it's the system that
Yeah.
recruiter prefers.
Yeah, makes sense, thank you.
Even when it's not easy apply, they also share your profile with the job poster.
Right,
Um,
which they're gonna look at anyways, right? So,
yeah, so it just ties it all back in.
We're gonna skip the extra credit because it just is how to explore schools, alumni, join groups. But like I said, Kristen is outside now, so she's gonna give the tour.
In here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna stay in here to do my meeting anyways, so leave the stuff, and then